welcome everybody to Just Talks, and I'm Andre.
I'm Shanae.
And we created this channel to share a bit about things in our relationship and things that we gone through, and we created a list that I think that would be helpful for anybody out there, any relationship and couples struggling with things, and just to give some advice in things that that you guys might be struggling with, and we would like to hear some feedback back. So we, like I said, we wrote down a few topics that we're going to go through. It's a I think we should make it like a series. And what do you think?
Yeah,
like a series, like this is the first episode of the series of this channel that we're going to start. And the first episode, if I could say it like that, is called Why Life Feels Heavy Even When We're Doing Fine. And I think it's a really important topic to talk about, because most of us, I think we act that everything is fine and everything might look fine, but not everything is fine, if I would say it like that. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like we're not in a crisis, but it's kind of like something just a little bit off. And I think sometimes when you get in a constant routine of doing the same thing every day, that you start feeling like life is getting heavy on your shoulders. Like, wake up, go to work, come back, make dinner, wash dishes, go to bed. The same routine, same repeat every day, and sometimes you just can feel a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, I get what you're saying when you get into routine, and on the surface, everything is going fine. I mean, you're doing well in life. You have things that you have a house, you have a car to drive, you have food in your house, but something still doesn't feel right. Something still feels off, and
something feels missing.
Yeah, something feels missing, or not missing, if I would say, because it's not missing. It is.
Yeah, but it is kind of like there's something you need, and you're not quite sure what's wrong.
Yeah. And if we sit still for a moment, we feel that we get to a point where we realize that even though things are okay and things are going well, I mean, financially, in our relationships, things that we go through, everything feels fine or looks fine. The fact of comparing to other people makes your life seem mediocre, yeah, if I would say, like mediocre, or even just plainly lame.
Dull.
Sorry for the dog. I think it's important to understand that the life or the world that we live in these days makes it really hard to just live your own life and be okay with it. It throws things in your face like this is how your life should look like, or how things should be going, or how you think, or how they think that it should be if I would say it like that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Sorry, it's just a dog. I'm a bit blind. I can't see very far. All right, so what in this thing we talk about, like everything still looks fine, and most of the time we get to a point that we're actually more exhausted by the things that we compare ourselves to than actually being just tired. And I think that's important to look at. Is, I mean, if we compare ourselves to things and other people, we get to a place where we feel tired to match them or even do better than them. To, I don't know, maybe feel good about ourselves, but it's a bigger lie that we believe. I think if we really look at our life and really look at the things that we have, I think we should be more blessed or more grateful than trying to compare our lives to other people's lives, and that's a main thing. That's a really big thing in our relationships. In our relationship, it's really easy for us to start to compare to other people.
Yes.
I mean, what if someone buys a new car or buys a new house in our friend group, and we still rent, and we feel like we're missing out or we're falling behind, but just the fact that we can live in a house and drive a car it's being blessed.
Yeah, I think most people, and especially us sometimes, feel this need to have just be one step ahead, one thing better than than our peers. It's this constant need to compete with each other, and that can get quite exhausting, and even just living life day to day sometimes can get challenging and exhausting, and we can start thinking, but why does our friend group have it so easy, and we have to struggle every day, and
and that really can put us in a place where we start to compare it to each other. I mean, or even really get irritated with each other when things don't go according to what we think needs to happen, because sometimes that Shanae has expectations for me and I have expectations for her, but even though we communicate it, sometimes it just doesn't happen, because when we compare it to other people we feel like we're failing and we don't do those things that needs to be done.
Yeah, because most times we create expectations according to what we see our peers are doing.
Yes.
Like you would see some of our friends holding hands in public, and you would be like, why can't I hold your hand in public? And as an example, I know Andre doesn't always like to be physical, especially in public. He doesn't like to be cuddled and stuff, but sometimes I would see friends doing it and I also want to do it, and then I have an expectation of him being like that, and it causes drama in our life. It causes fights and stuff because I want something and it's not in his personality to sometimes do. So
and when it does happen, then we all of a sudden we've freaked out, or when I have expectations for her, and when things happen, we kind of like, what is happening? And we get freaked out instead of being grateful for what happened, and being grateful for the person, and actually not just being grateful, not saying anything, but actually communicating it and saying, well done, I liked it, or so that we can understand each other.
Sometimes you just need to see the small things, even though it's not exactly what you wanted, what you expected and asked for, but it's an attempt to get there. So like let's take this affection in public, for example. Sometimes Andre would just like give me a hug in a public space where people can see, and it's not usually what I would want. I would want more affection, more cuddles, more stuff in a public space, but I need to see sometimes that his hug is what he is capable at the moment. And there's stuff that he expects from me that I do teeny tiny attempts on, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that we could be honest with each other and communicate the expectations for each other. I think it makes it easier to understand what your spouse or your partner needs, rather than just you expecting something and you didn't communicate it, and then you get angry for it, even though you didn't communicate it, or you didn't clearly state it, and this is what you need or this is what you want in the relationship. And this is not just in romantic relationships. This also counts in your friend relationships and work relationship. It's important to communicate these things and be open to each other and explaining, like, this is what I expect from you. There's this thing that I learned that, and this is connected to being honest with each other, is that communication is key. Listening is a choice, so we can communicate. The other person still chooses to listen to it or not. I think if you both in unity and both working to the same goal, the fact that the other person would listen if you communicate this, or communicate the need, or communicate an expectation, then it would be easier for the other person to listen to what your expectation is. And I think there's definitely a difference of just being honest and being grateful for something. If I'm being honest with Shanae about some things, and my communicating my expectations to her, she knows that she needs to do it. But if she does it out of her own, without me asking for it, I think that's a greater part of gratitude, that I didn't need to communicate it. She just did it because
she figured it out.
Not just figured it out, but there's a connection between doing something for someone that makes the other person be grateful. That's difficult
for me.
That's difficult for her. Doing something for someone else, even though it's difficult for yourself to do, like communicate something that means much more than just love or affection or intimacy with the other person. And that makes life a little bit easier when things are heavy and things are stressful and things doesn't go always the way that you expect it to go.
Yeah, like if you take me and Andre, for instance, sometimes I really wonder how we ended up together, because we've got two totally different personalities. For instance, he's a total introvert. He likes to play games and be inside the house, and I'm an extrovert.
You wouldn't look like that even when we're talking to a camera. I'm the one that's talking most of the time.
Yeah, but he would rather be spending his weekends in the house, watching movies, playing computer games and stuff. And I like those kind of things. But I'm more of an outdoors, outgoing, extroverted person. And sometimes it takes sacrifice from both of us. Sometimes I would like to go somewhere for the weekend, and he would have a tough week at the work, and he would ask me can we rather just stay inside? And then sometimes he would sacrifice his weekend and go do something totally out of his comfort zone just for me to get out of the house, because he knows I like to be outside the house. And that's the expectations we have for each other, and that's the kind of relationship we're doing. In every relationship, you need you need this constant give and take thing, because you can't just always give. You need to get a little bit also to recharge and stuff. So yeah, and coming back to the topic, why life feels heavy even though we're doing fine, we need to sometimes just get out of our comfort zones, just do something else, so that life's routines, life's heaviness can just feel a little bit different. And we can just be grateful for the fineness.
Yes. If I could ask you a question right now, I think it comes to both of us. I mean, if you answer, I'll answer. That when was the last time that you really, really felt light, and that not just light, if I would say, not chased by comparison or chased by success?
I would say probably end of January, when we had that horse riding competition. Even though I was competing and it was a fun day, but even though I was competing and I was running around like a headless chicken, I felt free and felt light, and I enjoyed every moment of it, because it was one of my passions, one of my childhood dreams to do, and I got a chance to do it, even though I just borrowed a horse from a friend.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was real fun.
I think for me, the last time that I really felt light and not being chased by needing to provide and needing to do things, and being this person that needs to have all this responsibility to be taken care of, because as the husband and as the man in the relationship, we have responsibilities, and sometimes it's really heavy. And I think the real, if I could be honest, is that the last time that I really felt light was when I was a child. I didn't have any responsibilities except for being at home in the evenings, going to school.
And taking care of your pet.
And taking care of my pet. I think that's the only responsibility. I didn't even need to buy the food. The food was bought already. So
just needed to feed it.
But that's I think that's what we miss the most. I think not just me, but a lot of people and a lot of you guys miss that feeling of being light. And for being a child and feeling that light. What makes the next question, what makes
life
things heavy right now?
I would probably say being a mother at this moment. Not to say that anything. I really love being a mother, and I love our child. But it kind of feels quite heavy now. The responsibility of keeping a dependent child to look after. You need to make sure this child survives and has everything he needs and all of that. And it's kind of heavy now, even though he's a healthy baby, he's never been sick before.
Keep on talking. I just want to fix something.
Keeping him healthy, keeping him on the go, and we are sleep training, so yeah. But yeah, that's what makes life feel heavy at this moment. Just the fact of being a mother, just the exercise of being a mom, and our financial decline we are in right now. But that's a story for another day.
I think, my life. I think it's also important to just to acknowledge that being a mother is not just. There's a massive responsibility of the things that child needs, and it's important to understand that it's not just you that feels the heaviness. You need to nurture and protect at this moment
And feed.
and feed. Isn't that part of nurturing?
Yeah, but nurturing can be just giving care and love.
There's also a heaviness, and that's what my answer is. It's being a father, having the responsibility not just to provide for you as my wife, but also to provide for my son, and to provide for my dogs.
Who's quite vocal tonight.
Yeah, and also to not just provide, but to provide safety in a way that he can live in a house and be able to be mobile, to have a car to drive. The responsibility and the upkeep of that. I mean, it's really easy to lose these things if things happen in ways that we don't want them to happen. And yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that we talk about these things enough to actually realize that things are heavy, even if we like it or not. It's inevitable.
Yeah. I don't think before when we got pregnant, we did a lot of research, and everybody always told us, "Oh, it's gonna be fun to be a parent, and you're gonna love every moment of it." But I don't think anybody or the internet actually tells you the difficult parts, the non nice things. And that's something every parent needs to figure out for themselves. You can sometimes you can have a really easy baby, sometimes you can have a really difficult baby. We are lucky enough to have an easy baby, but even though having an easy baby,
it's not always easy.
It is not always easy, but it is. It is what it is. Yeah. So.
If I would say it like that it's not just having an easy baby. For me, it's not easy. For me, it's difficult. Sometimes I can't cope with him crying. Sometimes I can't cope with him being needy and being
just
honest.
Just being a baby.
Just being a baby. I can't cope with it. I'm learning to, and these things are not always easy.
But these things are not something that you can learn from a book or something. This is something that you and your partner needs to discuss, not just beforehand while being pregnant, but you need to discuss it while the baby's there. Because before the baby, we knew it was going to be difficult and stuff for us, but we didn't think it's going to be this emotional roller coaster. Yeah, even though we knew about postpartum depression, we didn't know even fathers can get postpartum depression. Did you know that? Yeah, dad can also get it. And it is difficult. It is an emotional roller coaster. Even though baby is doing fine, you are doing fine. It can get heavy, and it can get this constant repeat of a routine every day also.
Yeah.
And then there's days that are good days where you can go around and stuff. And then there's days which are difficult where babies may be teething or just being a little bit off today and being extra needy and noisy and yeah.
And we're not saying all these things as if we're experts on topics like these. we just like to share our journey with
our experiences.
yeah, our own journey and our own experiences with you guys. Hopefully that you could, if there's something that you guys can take away from this conversation, take away from what we said. And it's important to remember that even though we're tired, and that we admit that we're tired, and we admit that life is heavy, that we could still be thankful for the small things, and thankful that that even though life is heavy, things aren't always all that bad. Even though we struggle, even though we're emotionally, not just physically tired, but also emotionally tired. Things don't always go to plan. Things don't always go as you expect it to go. And that could also be draining because you have these expectations for things.
You've got the expectations for life, and then life's got its own plan.
Exactly. And we have no control over how things will work out. And I think that's the important thing to remember. I hope you guys really got something out of this, and I hope you enjoyed our first episode on Just Talks Only, and I would like to see you again on the next video. Please like and subscribe, and also leave a like and a comment below and tell us what you guys think. And
if any questions, just leave it in comment.
Yeah.
We try to get to it, otherwise we'll answer the most asked questions in the next episode.
Yeah, before we can continue with the episode content. Be blessed, and I hope you guys had a good time. And cheers.